We thank all of our listeners from 530 Frederick Street, the White Tower.
Say that last part again from 530 Frederica Street. You slurred Frederica. That's why I wanted you to say it again.
It's because I've had too many
transfusions.
Hello, everybody. It's time for another Done Lite brought to you by Foreman Watson Holtree. We are here at 530 Frederica Street in the high-rise White Tower. It's snowing outside. It's a wonderful day. PJ, how are you?
Doing good.
And this is a carryover. We recorded a couple of these today because we had a good friend, Nathan Parkey. So he agreed to stay around for another one. Nathan, still with us?
Happy to be here.
Okay, now this Nathan will know that plaintiff attorneys love cases, PJ, that involve commercial vehicles on the other side, right, Nathan?
Yeah.
Why do we like those?
Deep pockets.
That's right. They have deep pockets, which means they have good insurance.
Right.
And the reason they have good insurance is they are protecting a bunch of assets, and that is their fleet. And so, and unfortunately, and this is truly unfortunate, usually when a commercial vehicle is involved in a wreck, it is serious.
The majority of commercial vehicles are going to be larger vehicles.
Yeah, that's right.
Box trucks,
semis, buses, those kinds of things. But they're catastrophic injuries a lot of times when they're involved because of the weight and the speed and then just the mechanism of the injury. So anyhow, over my career, I have been fortunate enough to be involved in a bunch of commercial vehicle litigation. It's very tedious. It's tough. You got to know a lot more than just handling a car wreck case because of all the regulations and things. You've been involved, PJ, in video production for mediation purposes against a commercial vehicle, which was a little different because it was actually a vehicle for a power company.
That was the one I came in on.
Right. And so that's it was a big project.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then of course we have to get people like Nathan involved in on the back end of those because there's a lot of planning for people when they receive that kind of money from those cases who have been, unfortunately, their lives have been changed. So anyhow, today we've kind of postmarked today to focus on commercial vehicle litigation, commercial vehicles, and the whole reason that I kind of got off on this subject the other day, PJ, is because I was telling you the story about what happened to me when Missy and I were up at West Baden. And so I'm going to kind of start this to kind of bring some levity to the situation. And Nathan, I don't know if I've told you this story, but I know you knew that I went up to French Lick, West Baden area about 5 or 6 months ago because I told you I was golfing.
Right.
And you asked which course I played, and we're talking about that weekend. There was a trip that Missy and I took up there for two purposes. One was there was a guy Gary Allen, who we're both fans of, that was in concert at French Lick, and then two was to golf, and then Missy was kind of catching up on some things. Well, the evening after the concert, okay, Missy was at that time had a paper due in one of her classes. So after the concert was over, she needed to do some work on that and get up early the next morning because she had some work to do on it. So I after the concert, I said, I'm going to go over to the casino. Now, we were staying in West Baden, so she said, yeah, fine, go have fun, whatever. So I walked down there to the front, where valet is, to wait on one of the shuttles that goes back and forth between West Baden and French Lick. Now, PJ's not been there, and I was explaining to him that they have the original brick roads. So when you're pulling in there, it's rough, isn't it, Nathan?
It is, yeah.
I mean, it's like,
Pretty, but it's rough.
It's beautiful, but I mean, you have to slow down to like 5 or 10 miles per hour or it will jar you in your car. I mean, they're really rough. Some of those shuttles are like a regular shuttle bus, and some of them are trolleys. They look like old trolleys, but they're on tires, and so it's like a bus made to look like a trolley, kind of like you have here in Owensville.
Right.
I go down to the valet area, and I get on a shuttle bus, one that looked like a bus, one of their black ones that says French Lick and West Baden on the side of it. It's really nice. And I get on this thing. It's about 11 o'clock at night. Okay, I get on this thing, and I'm the only guy on it. And the driver is kind of an older guy, slumped over, and he's got a Korean War hat on. It says on the back of his hat, Korean War vet, So I get on there, and I said, I'm going to the casino. And he's like, all right, Well, a couple seconds go by, nobody else is getting on, so it's me and the driver. Nathan, you know how they take out of there? They go, and there's two ways to go to the casino. You can go straight and kind of wrap around like you're going to go up to the golf course, or you can go left and come into the front of the casino. And I don't know why they take certain routes, but this guy, he doesn't just leave West Baden. He is like we're leaving the pits of a NASCAR. I mean, he jams on the accelerator. And I mean, I fly back in my seat and I'm like, what the hell? I mean, what's this guy doing? Okay. It's like, is this some kind of a joke, And he went straight, and we're hitting those bricks as you're passing the Springs area over there on the left with the garden and stuff. He is going down through there. And I mean, we're doing like 40, and I mean, I'm bouncing up and down. I'm like, hey, I didn't say anything. I was like, but I mean, if you would have had your wife or kids on there, it would have been bad. I mean, it was bouncing all around. And so I look, and we're at the place where he has to make the decision to go straight or go left, and he's not slowing down. And at the last second, he jerks it left, and we go, and there's a wall right there that has like a rail on it. It's for decorative purposes. And I am sitting on the passenger side about 3 or 4 seats back. And when he takes that turn, I hear like this horrible scratch. And you could tell we hit something. I look outside and there's sparks like flying off the side of our vehicle. All right. Now, at this point, I am like, what's going on? He goes, and the guy goes, oh, hell. He's cussing really bad. I mean, it's like, oh man, he's rumbling and grumbling, and I'm like, I was like beside myself. I didn't know what was going on. I had no clue. I was like, if somebody has really gone to this much trouble to prank me, they have really gone out of their way, because he doesn't stop and call. He doesn't take me back to West Baden or over to the casino. He goes up past the Huck station, like he's going away from the casino.
He kidnapped you?
Right. And I'm like, yeah, I thought he was. I was like, what is going on, And so he pulls into this driveway, and I see way back, you could see some lit buildings, and it looked like an old warehouse. Like an old warehouse that you see in the movies, like where deals get done,
Or people get murdered.
Right. So at this point, I'm starting to text Missy. I'm like, I just want you to know what's going on. I'm like texting her, and she's like, oh my God, how much cash do you have on you? And I was like, not enough for where somebody would do this, I mean, what's funny is when I told this story to PJ the first time, he didn't believe it. And so I showed him the text messages and the pictures. Okay. So, and you've seen them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm texting Missy. I'm like, just watch your phone. And so the next thing we know, we're at this warehouse, and there's a big ramp going up into the warehouse. And does the guy slow down hitting that ramp? No. He hits that ramp, and we didn't leave the ground, I don't think, but the suspension was fully extended.
Right.
All right. And bam, we land, and he hits the brakes, and I go forward. Wait right here, I'll tell you what. I got to get a new one. Like that. And he was like, what? Now, we're in this warehouse, and I'm starting to look around, and it's where West Baden and French Lick like keep all their Christmas ornaments, Christmas decorations and stuff, and there's broke down shuttle buses and stuff sitting in there. And so I'm waiting, and he comes back out, and he stands outside the passenger side, and he yells at me. He goes, see the wash bay over there? Like that. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, go get in that trolley. I'll be there in a minute. I'm in this dark warehouse. There's not another human being in there. And I'm being told, like, I wouldn't begin to know where to walk, okay? So I'm like, so I don't know if it's foolishness or just being in shock of what to do. I'm still, I go and I sit in the trolley in the wash bay, okay? Now, at this point, I'm taking pictures. I take a picture of me in the wash bay, and I send it to Missy. I said, I'm in the wash bay in some warehouse. Here's what it looks like. And she goes, are you alone? I was like, I'm all alone. There's nobody else with me, all right? And I was dropping her a pin location of where I was. And I was like, she goes, oh my God, do I need to come get you? I said, I think so. About that time, he comes out, and I said, what's your name? And he goes, my name's Ray. Like that. And I was like, okay, Ray. I was like, can you get me over to the casino or back to my room? And he was like, yep. And he reaches down and he pushes this button, and he goes, I'll be damned. This one's not working either. Like, it wouldn't start. Okay, so I'm like, at this point, I was like, Ray, I said, I think I'm just gonna walk. So I start walking out of the place. All right, I start walking. I didn't know where I was, but I knew that I could do better by myself, at this point. And so I thought, I'll get outside. I'll call Missy. She'll figure out where to pick me up. And about that time, a black Escalade, of all things, right, like in the movies, like pulls up, all right? And the guy said, "Are you heading to the casino?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to the casino." He said, "Here, jump in." So I look, and you know how they all have credentials on? I was like, all right. So it was the Escalade had the French lick symbol on the side, and he had his credentials. So I jump in the car, the Escalade with him, and he takes me over to the casino. So on the way there, I'm like, "Hey," I was like, "What's the story with this guy, Ray?" And he was like, "Oh, no." He goes, "We got to get rid." I said, "You need to get rid of him." I was like, "The guy is a liability." I said, "He just did $10,000 worth of damage to your bus." I said, "No telling what the wall looks like that he took out back there." I said, "And he not once was cared about me. It was like he was more upset that he had to go out of his way to get a new bus to mess up, And the guy was like, "You're kidding me." He's like, "I'm so sorry, Mr. Holtry." So he comped me at the casino quite handsomely, and so I never was. French Lick never followed up with me. They never asked me anything about it. The guy walked in, comped me. It wasn't $1,000. He comped me just under $1,000 to play. So. That's
still pretty awesome, though.
That's my public transportation story. All right. Now, you can think what you want. You can say, but I've got pictures backing and the text messages backing the entire incident up where this happened to me, Nathan. So I'm going to ask you, what would you have done in this situation?
Okay. I wouldn't have gone to the wash bay trolley, I don't think. I think I probably would have gone ahead and walked out at
that point. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, they're going to fire this one up and take me back,
right.
or take me. But I sat. I've got a picture. I'll show you when we're done of me in the wash bay.
Somehow he still thought Ray was a professional.
Yeah.
No. You think you would do all, and you're sitting here in the comfort of the high-rise white tower, and it's easy to make decisions. But when this stuff's unfolding, on you, you don't realize how difficult it is to channel it all and figure out what's going on. I mean, you don't expect that to happen to you at French Lick. It's a nice place. It's one of the nicer destination weekend places to go around here. And you go, and you just don't expect to encounter a Ray. I mean, I've gone there to get massages. I've gone there to play golf. I've gone there for conventions. We've been there for conventions, Nathan. But Ray, in the runaway trolley car, is a true story and one that I'll never forget about public transportation and commercial vehicles.
Well, I got to say, the "you don't expect" line is what most friends of murder victims say. We never expected the fiancé to kill them, but they did.
You've been doing this a lot longer than me, but I mean, this story you just told it happens all the time. I mean, none of these cases you get are just something that
That's
you
right.
think about. They all have these weird circumstances around them.
You're exactly right. Which would probably make me, I should be qualified to be able to sniff one out, right? It's
right.
Like, this is just not going the right way. But
Well, he made a comment when you were telling the story. I mean, technically that was kidnapping, right?
I guess.
Well, then you voluntarily got on the shuttle.
But
He heard his case by walking to the trolley afterwards and saying, "Yes, sir."
I was
I'll
going to say,
do
but
it."
you didn't volunteer to go to the murder warehouse.
Oh my gosh. Nathan's right. Nathan is right. When attorneys share stories about their cases, they're like, "Oh, let me tell you about a case I got," and they tell you about it, and it's like you scratch your head, like, how could somebody ever think that was a good idea, or how? And I think about this moment at French Lick a lot, and I'm like, if you would have asked me a million things that I thought would happen to me up there, I would have never dreamed that I would get on there, that would have happened to me, And
What was the concert that you saw?
Gary Allen, it was a country kind of rock type concert. Right. Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do.
Was there some inebriation
with me?
Yeah.
No, not. I mean, I'd had a few drinks, but I was nowhere near.
Right.
No, I
have to get on Reddit and type in a few drinks and Gary Allen and see how many other people have some crazy stories.
Okay, look, the concert started at 7. I probably had a couple drinks before. I had this drink called a transfusion that is grape juice and something else. What is it, Nathan?
Oh gosh, we'll have to ask John Holland. I think grape juice, vodka, and a splash of Sprite, maybe.
Sprite or ginger
and
ale
a splash of pineapple juice on top of it.
Yeah.
I may be wrong.
Right.
But
Wait.
it's
So
dangerous.
And
whatever
the-
it is.
and
They
the
taste
plot
like
thickens.
Kool-Aid. So I'd had a couple of those. And then after the words, we had a drink or two. So but it was over 5 hours. You know,
Right.
it's not like I was not because I was going to go gamble. I don't like gambling if I've been drinking too much. You know, I just don't.
Do you handle products liability stuff here?
Yeah.
I've made a habit of reading the warnings on just about every product I pick up now or I buy because it's hilarious. It pretty much tells you the story of what they've already been sued for the really silly
Right.
and stupid things people have done with this stuff.
Yeah, you know the stickers that are on vending machines about don't tip it over on yourself. That case was handled by I can't remember the attorney, but I know who the expert was because the expert that was involved in that case ended up designing that sticker to warn people not to pull the machine over on top of them. Yeah. If you look at vending machines like Coke machines or
Right.
you know where you get M&Ms out of and crackers, it has a big thing like it'll tip over on you.
We have a new oven at our house, but the oven that came with our house when we bought it had a warning sticker inside of it, and it says, "Warning, not a seat." And it has what looked like a grown adult wearing a diaper sitting on the oven lid, like the oven door with it down, but the oven is toppling forward on top of them. And I thought someone had to sit on an oven door and get almost crushed by an oven and then sue somebody
Right.
for them to go, you know what? People are so stupid. We got to tell them don't sit on an oven door, especially if you're wearing a diaper. 'cause
Well, no,
a
it's
bad
not.
idea.
No. Now here's where it happens. The label, the person that designed that label had to think about, well, if somebody mimics what I've put on this label, they could sue me. And so it's not a diaper. It's just some type of clothing on so they don't burn their butt on the oven and then blame the guy that created the sticker for saying, look, you created a bad. I thought that's what we're supposed to do, and I sat on this thing and burned my arse. That's exactly why he's wearing a diaper in that.
Right.
In that. Don't you think?
I don't even begin to try
We
and
have,
guess what
you know what
these-
we should do? We need to follow up and find that case where
The-
someone
the
sat on an oven door.
Oh man, there's
and
all
it
kinds.
toppled on
All
top
those.
of them.
There's all those. You know, golf carts. If you look on golf carts about tipping over and all that.
Yeah, or like
So-
the do not get inside your refrigerator and close the door.
That's one. That's one. I like the one on the marshmallows. Have you seen it?
I have not.
It says, "Don't put too many of these in your mouth; they're choking hazards." At one time, you don't put too many of them in your mouth at one time. And I remember back when I was in youth group, when like in church, we would have competitions to see how many of the full-size marshmallows you could fit in your mouth, and it was called Chubby Buddy, and you get your cheeks expanded like some kind of frog or something,
Right.
You know, and it was a whole game. Well, I think that case must have come out of like some youth group competition where somebody ate too many marshmallows and choked.
Right.
And so they put that hazard on the package. So this was supposed to be about commercial vehicle, but that's good. Nathan transitioned us perfectly into another legal issue, and that's warnings on products. So, you know, and you know, I even one time I was with Nathan at a very prestigious golf course, and there's a water stop, and you're kind of in this cave, right? It's a tunnel, right, Nathan? It is in a tunnel, isn't it?
It is.
Okay, and it's darker in there than it is outside. They have a drink station there where you can get ice. It's good ice too. It's crushed ice.
Sonic Ice.
Yeah, it's Sonic Ice.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a place in there to use the bathroom. Color of the step and the color of the cart path and the color of the walls is all like a tan brown color, and there's no distinction. And I walked around the front of the cart and I hit that thing. And I about bit it, didn't I? I was like, well, there's no yellow there. Nathan was laughing because I immediately was thinking about the case. I was like, there was no warning. There was no.
And I was thinking if he sues them, I get kicked out of here. So
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. But to some degree, because we, you know, living in a litigious society has made what we do more difficult because there's skepticism every time an attorney is looking at a potential cause of action. And there are so many causes of action that do need to be pursued, but they're still funneled through or filtered through that people are very on guard against it now. You know, there is a prejudice almost against what we do because...
The boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, that's
Right.
right. Because there's so many of the ones that are way out there, you know. I've had people call here at the office wanting to sue Kentucky Fried Chicken because they claimed that they had cotton in their mashed potatoes. You know, I was like,
I remember when Amy got a phone call with someone here locally wanting to sue Walmart because they found a mouse. They claimed to have found a mouse in some canned food product.
yeah, that happens all the time, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you prove that? It could have just been like,
I had a very good case, and this would interest you. I had a very good person had bought trail mix with you know, the M&Ms, pretzels, whatever. You know, you've seen it in some bag. She's a teacher, and she was eating it at her desk, and there was a needle, about a 2.5-inch needle, and she didn't see it. She threw in a handful and chomped down. The needle went up through her mouth and into her gum. The problem with that was, we got a good result for her, but it took a long time because it was like, at what point in the process because this company that manufactured this stuff, they got their M&Ms from one place and they got their nuts from another place and they got their, you know, and so all those places are potential places where this needle would make it into the bag.
right.
So my theory was really simple. It was like, yeah, you're right, but ultimately you're the ones that put it in the bag. And so I said, why don't you X-ray? Why doesn't it have to go through an X-ray or something? And boom, we pick up any metal artifact that's in our stuff. We researched it in that case about how easy it would be to have some type of a scanning system that would do that, and it was not that expensive in light of that potential type of trauma.
Right.
And so that was the theory of my case, was that how easy it could. You're ultimately the person to put it in the bag. You can scan it real easy for any type of artifact.
What a nightmare, though.
Yeah. So
I got a pasta salad, one of those pre-made packaged like pasta salads from Walmart, and I emptied it into a bowl and mixed it up, and I was eating it, and I literally was like down to the last bite, and I went to take a bite, and there's a sharp piece of plastic, but I checked the container, and it didn't come off the container. It was just mixed in with the noodles.
yeah.
And it's
It made you feel good about what you're eating.
Oh, I haven't eaten a pasta salad since then. It's like the time I was eating tuna fish, and I got a can that had the bones in it. And,
Really?
Yeah. And I haven't eaten tuna fish since.
Well, it's almost
gross.
lunchtime, so I have no tuna, no pasta salad, no trail mix. We're narrowing it down.
Well, you can go pick up one of those cups of baby
No
food
KFC
and you're
mashed
all set.
potatoes.
Huh?
No KFC mashed potatoes.
No mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, well, again, we are famous for doing this, going way off course. And Nathan, you have witnessed it now firsthand. I told you the
Yes.
hardest thing to do in a podcast is to stay on topic. Okay, we did good on the first one, but we go from public transportation or commercial vehicle litigation into the story, and then now we're talking about product warnings and things like that. But kind of tying it all together, if there's a way to do that, what we do for a living, we see all of that kind of stuff. We hear.
Yeah.
Nathan was exactly right. We hear some crazy stories. And you head scratchers on how could that have ever happened. And our job as lawyers is to, if legitimately somebody should be held accountable for their lack of foresight in how that could have come about, and it ends up in an injury or a catastrophe, or hopefully a loss of life, then we do owe it to the family members or to that person to investigate it and to determine if it's something where they can be compensated. And you would agree that there are those of us that do it right, and then there's those that that have really caused what we do for a living to be more difficult. Nathan, thanks for coming. You're going to come again sometime?
I'll definitely be
We
back.
need to do a on-site, at a golf course sometime and kind of follow, kind of do a mobile podcast.
Yeah, that
sometime.
sounds like a lot of fun.
You'll have to bring the video camera for that one. It can't just be audio.
That episode will be called Travis's Big Loss.
That's right. That's right. Hey, I'm not afraid to admit it. So, all right. This is another episode of Law Light, brought to you by Foreman Watson Holtry, fwhlegal.com. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned for more episodes. We have a lot planned as we move on through the year.
Do.
Lots of episodes. We thank all of our listeners. 530 Frederick Street from the White Tower.
Your problem is our passion.
You need that.